to the Connect the Dots podcast. Jeffrey Klein has conversations with a diverse array of successful people, sharing their stories to educate, inspire, and entertain. Here is your host, Jeffrey.
My guest today is Brittany Charlton, founder of Ohh Foods. At 18 years old, Brittany was enjoying her favorite snacks during a family movie night, like she did every other week, but this week was different. Her throat started to close and she was rushed to the hospital where she was diagnosed with a peanut and tree nut allergy. Dissatisfied with the snacking options on the market, she decided to create her own snacks. Her mother encouraged her to try and sell them, and she did in a few stores in the neighborhood, and then established Ohh Foods, producing vegan, gluten-free, and allergy-free edible cookie doughs and snack bites. Her products can now be found in more than 1,000 stores across Canada, including Walmart, Bed Bath & Beyond, and Whole Foods. And the mission is to bring awareness through innovative snacks that can be enjoyed by everyone. Welcome, Brittany.
Thank you so much.
So I like to start at the beginning. So where were you born and what did your parents do for a living?
Yeah, so I was born in Canada, and my parents, so my mom worked for the government, and yeah, just a very, it's like a humble beginning of where I've started to where I am now, I guess.
And when you were growing up, if people had asked your, 10-year-old self, what do you want to be when you grow up? What would you have said?
Yeah, so I think when I think about what I wanted to be when I was younger, I think I wanted to be multiple things. And I think it all revolved around like the time and like what world we were in at that time. So I think at the beginning I was like in daycare still at 10. So I was definitely like, I want to, become like, I wanted to do something with like making products. I didn't even know what it was called at the time, but I used to like make pillows for my friends' dolls and my dolls and then sell them at the front of the daycare, or like make GIMP and then take orders on like Monday and then Friday, give them to my like friends' parents and they would pay me, or like make keychains or like pens. It was like so fun. But I think after leaving daycare and going into like just school, like school at the time wasn't like, hey, you can be an entrepreneur or you can, start a business. It was like, hey, do you want to become a lawyer, doctor? Like, what do you want to be? Police officer. And so I think I started going down the path of like, hey, I want to be a lawyer. One of my aunts is a lawyer. So I definitely was like, hey, I think that's what I want to become. And then I started looking at like different paths. So I was like, okay, well, why don't I become a police officer first? Then I go become like paralegal, then a lawyer, then a judge. And like, I think my ending goal was to become a judge. And then as I continued through school, and I completed my diploma in college, I realized I didn't want to do, so I did law clerking and then I was supposed to continue on from there, but I realized I didn't want to continue in that path. And I had like a really like strong passion for starting a company. And at the time, the college just opened up like an entrepreneurship center. So it was kind of like right at the time I was graduating and I was like, okay, I'm going to graduate. And then I think I'm going to explore this idea I have.
Awesome. I don't know, you won't know this, but I grew up in a family. My father and grandfather were both judges. So I didn't follow that line, but I understand the appeal of being in the law and being a judge and then going elsewhere. So
Yes.
When you were growing up, was there someone sort of a role model of entrepreneurship that you kind of looked at and people who own their own business that you said, oh, that's something that at least you were aware of?
No, and I think even when I was younger, I don't even think I understood that people actually own these companies. Like, I just thought, I don't even know what I thought. I think I was just like, McDonald's is just McDonald's and it's just there. And I didn't really think further than that, like when I was like probably 10 and, going through elementary school. And then I didn't have anyone really that like had their own company that I knew. So it wasn't like I saw someone doing it and I wanted to do it too. It was more just like, what was my passion and what do I love doing? And I think my mom just always encouraged me to try different things. And even if they didn't work, it was fine. At least I was, trying and just thinking of ideas. And so any idea I had, she really was like, okay, let's map this out. Like, let's see what it's going to look like. I think at one point I wanted to like have a jean jacket that was like going to have like all these little things on the back of it, and then realize like once I mapped out
Dazzled.
like the financials, yeah, bedazzled, and I was like, that is going to be my idea, and then I mapped it out, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm actually not passionate about a bedazzled jacket, and also just like the finances of a clothing company is a very different piece. So
So, deciding to start a company is a big deal. And, entrepreneurship has become really popular in a way that it wasn't when I was a kid. And now it's like, oh, this is, universities have, degrees in it now in a way. But starting, at a really young age and again, you didn't have these other people looking at it. I mean, why do you think that the idea of starting your own thing rather than kind of following a more traditional path, we'll call it, where did that motivation come from for you to kind of like, I want to create, because it sounds like you like to create things from, you're talking about the pillows and things. There are people who just like to make stuff, and you kind of seem like you had that early on. Were you a baker, and did you make those kind, because you went into the food space, so were you cooking a lot? Did you do those kinds of things when you were younger as well?
I think my mom likes to bake and cook. And so like, I think I didn't like cooking. So I'd always join her baking sessions that she'd make like cookies or different things like that. But I didn't love it. So to be honest with you, it wasn't like I can't wait to cook something up situation. It was more of like, I have an idea for a product. Let me see what I could do with it. And it started out in like different realms too. Like I went to school for law clerking, so I started to internship at a law office. And the two that I was internshipping at, they were like, oh, this would be so cool if you could like, have like a law clerk like freelance company, and like you just freelance for all these lawyers that are like single lawyers, like solo lawyers, and they need people just to like draft paperwork here and there and help them out. And so that was originally like one of my ideas I started to like play with and work out. And then I realized I just obviously wasn't, I don't think I think I just wasn't passionate about filling out forms, and like, it just didn't get me excited. So I think when I started looking at my other ideas at the time, I had braces, and I liked hot chocolate, and I couldn't have it from Tim Hortons, and because it would just cover my teeth in like sugar essentially. And so I was like, oh, if I can create hot chocolate that had like no sugar in it, and it was kind of acting like a coffee where you add as much sugar as you want in there, or nothing at all, and then you add your milk, water, whatever you wanted to add, and there's no actual substitutes in there. That would be a cool idea. And then kind of went from there, iterated on that idea, realized it's super seasonal, and it wasn't going to take me through summer months, and then just started to look at like some other ideas. So I think for me it was just like about like, it wasn't about like creating this company that I wanted to make millions of dollars. It was like, what do I enjoy doing, and then just iterating on there, and going from that.
Yeah, and it's just, there, a lot of the things of people have hobbies, but
Mhm.
there's a difference between taking a hobby or a side hustle, some people call it, making it your business. How
Yeah.
challenging did you find the fact that like, oh, this could, or that moment you're like, this could be a business, like people like my product and are willing to give me money?
Yeah.
Was there an aha moment where you're like, oh wait, I got something here?
Yeah. The aha moment would probably be when we were launching into one of the grocery stores here. It was one of a bigger one in 2019. And that's when I think the product went from like, this is just a cool idea that I'm, doing out of a kitchen, to like, okay, let's see if we can actually scale this up and grow it. And that year was like a year of like just learning, which is great. And that's what I wanted it to be. I didn't want to go full-fledged. I really wanted to like learn about the industry. I don't have anyone that I knew was in retail, and I really wanted to figure out like what worked, what didn't work. And then 2020 happened, and that was like a year again of like planning, and just like thinking like intentionally about like what exactly I was trying to offer, and like what would make the most sense. And then what were my plans? Like, it was no longer like, I think I had one product that was like ice cream essentially. And I was going to the strawberry fields, picking strawberries, and then making them into like strawberry ice cream, which is cool, but that's clearly not sustainable, picking strawberries every day. But it was more that I like loved picking strawberries while I did that, right? And so it was like, okay, if I'm going to continue, I need to figure out like a path that's going to help me like make a living for myself, and like what do I actually believe could happen here. And so 2020, when we launched around summertime, we launched our edible cookie dough, and that went insane. I realized like, okay, I think I hit a product that is going to be able to scale really nicely. And it also complemented the other product and brought more awareness to that product that I originally had, which is our snacking bites. And then the following year, around June-ish, I received a message from a national distributor here in Canada. It's one of the largest, and they were interested in like carrying our line of edible cookie doughs. And then we just kind of took off from there. So I think once I got the attention of like, it was, I would say like there's no like one moment, there's probably like multiple moments of like, okay, this is it, this is it, this is it. And then, yeah.
And I'm finding it fascinating because you're saying you didn't really have other entrepreneurs, in your circle of your network, and then but the product seemed to kind of take off and people were responding well to it. Did someone help you, or did you create a business? Because it seems like you're really business minded about, wait, I need to be intentional about this. I need to think about how I'm going to scale this. Like, where did you learn like to even think that way? And then once you were like on the path, did you create a business plan? Did you have a mentor? Did you, in the space, like other than mom who's saying, yeah, just go for it. Was there
Yeah.
kind of any formal or informal business assistance?
Yeah. So in the early days, there was a lot of Googling and YouTube. And then it went to like finding like mentors in the space. So I kind of always would look at myself and say, okay, what do I need to learn? And like, what do I need to, like, where are the gaps here that I'm missing? And then I would honestly go on LinkedIn and find like people who had that skill set. So in 2021, when I knew we were launching into our distribution channel and we were going to like start to grow really fast, I knew that I needed someone on my team that was like on my mentoring team that like had sales experience, but like deeper, like they had experience from like multiple different like places essentially. So or companies. And so I reached out to a couple of people. One person got back to me, and she's still my mentor to this day, and she's amazing. And that year was a great year for us because of having her on our team and like really streamlining processes and thinking about the bigger picture and like where are we going with this, and like who are the like key people we need to connect with now for the following year and all that stuff. So yeah, I would say like my thing was just like finding gaps and then finding people who could help me reach my potential. And I always would like reach out, whether even if it was like one of my mentors just talked to me about like mental health, and like she'll always say like, are you having fun? Like, if you're not, let's stop this, because it's not worth you not having fun in life. Or, how are you feeling? How's your gut feeling about things? And so she's really great on being like intentional about every single thing I'm doing. And I met her in 2019, and she wasn't supposed to be my mentor, but I think she someone introduced us, and then it just ended up working out, and she's been my mentor ever since. So yeah, just honestly LinkedIn, Google, and YouTube, and then surrounding yourself with like great people.
Yeah, I think that part, surrounding yourself with great people, is a huge piece of any business. Especially I think being young and not, or going into a new industry, if you're pivoting to something new and you're not an expert, you don't need to be the expert. You just need to help get people around you that know what they're doing and are aligned with kind of your vision. And so in terms of that, coming up with a vision for what you want this company to be, more than just, you said it wasn't just about making money, it was about like wanting to put those products out there. Obviously you had a personal connection to it. How important was that, having kind of a purpose in driving you and attracting others?
Yeah. I think like the purpose helped align other people with me. So it helped them like figure out where I was going, and what I wanted to do. So like, did I want this to be like a lifestyle business that was just paying me and like a couple other people and like having fun? Or did I see this being like a global initiative that I was trying to like really scale and bring to life? And so I think that's what the vision really did for everyone. And then also help those like around me. Like I think like even just posting on LinkedIn, it helped everyone be like, hey, I can help here, I can help there, and just connecting the dots for everyone.
Wow. If you know me even a little bit, connecting the dots is what it's all about.
I
And
know.
the name
I was
of
like, I
the
just
podcast.
realized I did that.
That's always, yeah, that's a special moment for me when someone actually says it. It happens more often than not. So you've been, scaling this, and it's been taking off and really hitting. Can you think of a place that's kind of that you're really surprised you ended up in? And it can be a geographical place, or engaging with a person that you're like, 5 years ago, you were, I can't believe I'm talking to, or I can't believe I'm here. Is there any place like that you can think of?
I would say like there's a couple of things. There's like our co-packer, being in a co-manufacturing facility. I think for me, like working in smaller kitchens and like doing production ourselves and thinking like, okay, how are we going to find someone to produce for us? Sometimes like when I'm in the facility, I'm like, okay, this is so surreal. Just to see like the big mixing of like our cookie dough. And like I think the first time they produced, like we used to take like a block of butter of like 30 pounds and like have to cut it into like smaller pieces to put into our mixer. And then seeing them put in like 5 of those into one, I was like, oh my goodness, like that's insane. And then I think another one has been like our partnership with Walmart has been like, for me, really magical. And just like the people there who believe in us and like mentor me as well on like systems and how to grow there and what to do. And just like to collaborate with us a little bit deeper than just putting us on shelf and then being like, okay, well, you're performing at this and, hope you're doing well. They really, truly care. So I think those are the 2 so far that come to mind for me. And then I think like the traveling I get to do, obviously, I think that's a third one. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I think one of them was like getting to go to Expo West last year. I didn't have our company there, but I was just like walking the show with a couple of my other food friends from Canada. And I thought for myself, like that was so cool. Like I've always wanted to go to California. So going now is like so surreal. And I have like moments like that where I'm like, this is such a cool place to be in.
Have you ever experienced being young and people looking at you and like, who do you think you are? Or, kind of judging you based on your age as opposed to your talents and skills and ideas?
Yeah, I think people often don't know my age. So I think they like often like when I have a conversation with them, it's not until they maybe ask me my age that they're like, really, wow, that's incredible. Or and then they're like kind of like taken aback and like super helpful as well, like just wanting to like jump in and help me. So I haven't gotten that from like anyone I'm working with per se. at all, actually, which I'm really grateful for, because I think that it could be like, I'm not going to take you seriously because you're so young. And yeah, no, I haven't gotten that.
Well, I think, again, from my perspective, even just talking to you, it's clear the intention you have about how you approach things is, I think, helps bridge that gap sometimes. It's like you're really clear about it and you're very articulate about it. And I'm sure that's a lot of the reason why people, age is just a number. Again, entrepreneurship is something that's become really popular, and people are like, oh, everyone can start a business. It's really, I think the barriers to entry, and again, you YouTube and LinkedIn and Google, we're all you
Yeah.
need. Do you have any advice for those who might be younger or not about starting a business? Like, how important is it to love it? Is it about the passion? Is it about the plan? Is it about starting with so much money? Like, what do you think is the most important thing about wanting to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I would say, so there's a couple of things. There's like, really be intentional before you go and do it and know what you're getting yourself into. And then the last thing would be like, if you're going to play a game, like, I think of like life and just everything in general, like Monopoly almost. And so if you're going to play the game a certain way, you cannot choose halfway through the game that you're going to switch and not buy all the houses that you land on. And so if you're going to, like, I like to say, if you're going to play the game, then make sure you're playing it to win, and that you have a great strategy behind you for how you're going to do that. Yeah. And then I think like most people get stuck in like the thought process and like not even executing. So I think it's like, once you have a one pager of like what you think your idea is, just get started on executing it. I'd say give it a month or so. Like, I'd say maybe like even 90 days, see how it's going, and then kind of like step back and be like, okay, is this sustainable? Is this something I can actually grow and scale? And then also just know, like, not everyone wants to have a company that they build to sell. They could have it as a lifestyle business or a side gig. So it's just thinking about the game that you want to play and then playing it well.
I love that. I'm a big fan of games. So any analogy, I think, game is a big life, and if you approach things with that mentality, again, and having fun. But I think what you're also saying, like, don't put all your eggs in one basket and just keep going if it's not working. So it's about awareness as well, and making sure you have that kind of minimum viable product before you start to like, oh, it didn't work, but it'll work the next time after I do this or that.
Yeah.
Now, you were a law clerk. Now, if you hadn't started Ohh Foods and it had become the success that it has, do you think you would have gone back to law, or do you think you would have tried another business? Like, what would you have pursued otherwise if you weren't in this, the food game, as we like it?
Yeah, I think I would have gone down the law field, and I think I still will eventually. I think I'll go back to it. And like, maybe it's something I do on the side, or just because I think I do enjoy it. Yeah, it'll probably be my side hustle or something that I like at least go and finish off. But yeah, I think I would do law. I think that's really, like, I'm not interested anymore in like criminal law like I used to be when I was younger, or family law. I think I've realized like those two things are like, family law is super sad. Criminal law is just, I don't think I'm into it. But I think like corporate law would be, it's bland, but it's definitely a safe haven where you're not dealing with like crazy ups and downs or crazy cases. So I think that's probably where I'd land eventually.
My joke with my dad, who's was a judge for 36 odd years, is I'd be a lawyer in the next life. So I'm not planning to go back to law. So the next life, maybe I'll be a lawyer.
Nice.
Forbes 30 under 30 and Walmart, collaborations and other things. By most traditional measures, people would say you're successful. But how does Brittany define success?
Yeah, I think I define success as like am I happy? Am I truly like happy and living my life? And do I know who I am? And do I like who I am? I think those are like the things that I think about when I think about success. So far, I feel great. So I think as long as I feel great about those things, I feel successful. I don't think like I don't get tied. I don't put my identity or tie up like who I am in, what I do. I think O is great. But I think if it all fell down tomorrow, I could do it again. And a lot faster with everything I know now. And so I'm not really tied to like I love it, but I'm not tied to it. Like it's not who I am, and like what success means to me either.
And it's really important, people, not to let your career necessarily define you, or definitely not a specific job or a company, or more than that. What would you say inspires you to pursue something? Where do you get your inspiration for, whether it's a product idea or a business idea?
So other than market trends and just looking at things that make sense, I think it definitely comes from my dreams. Like I'll go to bed and I'll just think of something and I'm like, this is what I need to go execute. I think I get my craziest like ideas and dreams and everything on like a plane or like just moving in motion. So if I'm driving down the street, sometimes I get some great inspo as well. So anytime I'm in motion, I find I'm like I think I did like my whole marketing plan on the plane back from Mexico earlier this year. So that was like, and like, whereas I'll sit here for days just being like, okay, where do I start? And on a plane, I can like download just everything possible onto a sheet. So it's
yeah, it may be partly like they're not the distractions when you're on a plane, because
yeah,
if you don't get on Wi-Fi, but it's not the same environment, and you kind of have that calm. So if you're ever stuck, all you need is I need to fly somewhere, and you can get on a plane and you're good to go.
The one thing I need too is like when I'm driving, I need like a scribe because I come up with like great ideas, but I can never write them down. So that would be
voice memos. Yeah. Well, that's how, it's funny because people talk about, I have great ideas in the shower. And it's like, yeah, but if you don't remember them when you get out of the shower, which I've had happen, both, you get ideas when you're waking up and you're like, oh my God, if you don't have that pen and paper next to your bed, you may lose it, which is so sad when that happens. So I think having not just, you need to plan ahead to know like, oh, okay, I know this is when I get good ideas. I need to have a way to capture them, whatever that may be. So you're talking about market trends. So what do you think is kind of the next trend in kind of snack foods? Is it going to continue to be lots of other options for specific niches as opposed to, what do you think's coming?
Yeah, good question. Snack foods, I really don't know. I think everyone loves a good chip, or popcorn, at least I do. But I don't really know about like snack food trends. I think I've been looking at the market for like drink trends at the moment. Not that we're going to launch any drinks, but like I've been kind of tapping into that and seeing what's happening with that. Like, with alcohol versus non-alcohol and how our generation really appreciates like non-alcoholic beverages that taste like alcohol. I think that's like interesting thing to tap into. Yeah, no, for us right now, like snacking, I really don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like. I know people want like simple ingredients and things that they can read, sort of snacking bites, and even our edible cookie dough do that. I've made that like something that's very clear for us from the beginning is like you can literally go to a Whole Foods or really anywhere, pick up the raw ingredients and make it yourself at home if you really wanted to. And it's like super simple ingredients, and it's nothing that's going to hurt your stomach or make you feel unwell. So, but yeah, that's a good question. I'll keep digging into that one.
And then what about, is there, what's that, a new product that you're working on now that's going to come out soon that's kind of, you're excited about?
Yeah, I think so. This year is the year of line extensions for us. So we're literally just taking the current lines that we have and extending them in flavors. So like our snacking bites, we plan to have like 2 new flavors, and then which are still being, debated about, but 2 new flavors there. And then our edible cookie dough, 1 new flavor there. And then just expanding the line. Like we're really focused in on Walmart. So in the next few weeks, we'll be launching our mini doughs there, and that's exciting as well. So now you'll be able to get like edible mini dough cookie doughs there.
I love, as a fan of cookie, I do like to bake, and my children all like to eat the cookie dough. And when we found out there was edible, safe cookie dough, we're like, oh, this is a game changer. I'm curious,
Yeah.
can you just maybe, how do you come about deciding? You said you're debating flavors. Do you do research? Is it a team in-house that does it? Do you finally say, no, we're going with this one? Like, what's the creative process for deciding on the next flavor?
Flavors. Yeah, so that would be a little bit of market trends, a little bit of connecting with the community, and a little bit of whatever my brain thinks of. So it's a little like we go to our community, we kind of like put out like feelers of like, hey, what flavors would you like to see? Like, what would you like to try? What's exciting for you? Like, and really look at like ice cream flavors too, because they get funky. So how can we make that into like a snack, so yeah, that's really how it starts for us.
What's the craziest flavor idea that someone has suggested or that you've thought of? And you're like, what?
I think it was like a kitchen sink of just like random things. Like they wanted like M&Ms in there, and then they wanted like a swirl of like of caramel, and then some cinnamon in there. And I was like, that's so random, but we'll try it and see if it works. But it's just like random things. But other than that, it's been pretty normal. It's like, yeah, we want like s'mores, or we want cinnamon buns, or stuff like that.
I'll have to send you, there's a company in Philadelphia, Little Babies, that does crazy ice cream flavors, like popcorn
Nice.
flavored ice cream and tomato soup ice cream, like sushi ice cream.
Nice.
Like what?
Oh,
Yeah, and some of them are done just, but they really push the envelope with a flavor profile. Some of them I'm like, nah, I don't think so. But it keeps things interesting. What about what's next for Brittany? So you beyond, I like how you talked about you're not defined by and things like that. So what are you excited about in your life
personally?
outside of business?
Yeah, I'm just excited about building routines for myself. So going to the gym has been really important for me. Get up and I go at 6 a.m. and I've been doing that consistently for a little bit now. So, and a little bit, I mean like 4 days. So I'm really excited about that. Like I was doing it before, but it would be inconsistent. It'd be like, I'm going to go like 3 days a week. And now it's like, I'm trying to go every day and then have like one rest day. So that's exciting. And then, it's pretty cold here in Canada. So really nothing else to do other than to stay indoors and stay warm. But when the summer hits, I like to go horseback riding, and that's
Nice.
That's interesting.
All right. We're now I haven't figured out what to recall this, but I call it the rapid fire questions, but they don't always go as fast as I may think they will.
All right.
And that's my fault, not yours. So but here we go. If a movie was made about your life, who would you want to play you?
Oh, I think Viola Davis.
She was awesome.
No, she's amazing.
What's that?
I said she's amazing.
I said awesome. I said she's awesome.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Let's argue. We're in heated agreement about how great she is. Should stories always have happy endings?
No.
Do you have a favorite emoji?
I think just smiley face, probably.
Is there a cookie dough emoji? I don't know if that's true. That's off script, but I'm always curious about one.
No cookie dough emoji. Maybe I should create one though.
There's a whole process for it. It's crazy. Can you name one of your favorite songs or favorite musical artist?
You know what? I'll be honest. I don't listen to a lot of music. And because I find that people remember a lot of music, but they can't remember like basic things in life. So I try to be very intentional with what I like put into my brain and what I listen to. And so it's mostly just podcasts, to be honest with you.
Love it. Can you name a favorite social media platform?
And social media I try to stay off of, but if I have to use it for work, right now it's Instagram.
Can you name a book that left a lasting impression?
Yeah, 10X Rule. That one changed a lot about my thinking.
Love it. What about movies? Can you name a favorite movie? I know you don't listen to music, but what about movies?
I don't know about a movie. I think recently I just watched The First Lady, and I thought that was great, but it's not a movie, it's a show.
We'll allow it. Can you name one thing you can't live without?
I don't think I can live without like a good notebook to like journal or write things in.
And if you could be credited with inventing something, what would it be and why?
If I could be credited with inventing something?
That either exists or does not exist. So I wish I was, credited with inventing fire. I was one. Would be kind of cool.
Nice. I think I want to say like, when you're like, you get receipts and you get a receipt in your hand. I wish there was a way to like have it automatically connect to your bank account. So you just hover over it and you see, so I hope someone creates that.
I think they're working on something like that. There are definitely tools to see all that. Brittany, this has been awesome. I want to give you an opportunity. You've been really generous. Is there anything you want to promote at the moment about Ohh Foods or yourself, or you want to direct people to?
Yeah, check out our website, ohhfoods.com, and try our snacks. We'd love to hear what you think about them. And then if you're in Canada, you can find our snacks at Walmart, Goodness Me, Whole Foods, Healthy Planet, and many other locations. Just check out our website.
I have to ask about America and Ohh Foods being here. Are they here? Are they coming? What's the latest there?
Yeah, so next week I'll actually be going to Tennessee, and I'll be doing a trade show there with our distributor in the USA, and hopefully that reins in some great retailers.
Very exciting. Thank you so much. I really appreciate what you've been doing and your story and sharing it with us and your insights on entrepreneurship. And most of all, I want to thank you for helping us connect the dots.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking your time to listen to this podcast. Please subscribe on your preferred podcast platform so you don't miss any future episodes. If you could also do me a favor and please leave a review on iTunes, I would really appreciate that. Remember, story matters and is the best way to connect the dots.